Amy Thurman back again with 100 Days, 100 Emotions. We're on day 95 today, talking about insecurity today. If you would like to see the others in this series, go to hashtag 100 Days, 100 Emotions. That's the numerical number 100, streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and you can catch them there. I love doing this. I love having special guests come on and share their experience with these emotions because we all experience them differently. I know how they feel in my body, but to hear someone else share their experience with it is very educational for me. I'm learning so much from this. I hope you guys have been enjoying this too and are sharing them. Please feel free to share these because that's what it's about, right? It's about helping others. It's helping us understand that it's normal to have these emotions. It's part of being human. It's part of our makeup to feel these. They're there for a reason. They're there to help us. And so, whatever we can learn from that is helpful. And I want to share that with others. So, thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad you're here. So, insecurity. Oh my gosh. Like, have we all experienced this or what? I think it's just one of those things that probably we know so well. We don't really want to call it that because we feel it so often. It's so common to us. But I'm eager to talk about this today. And I cannot wait to introduce you to my friend Jane. I know that you're going to learn from her and that she's going to be so helpful. Jane, thank you so much for being here and for joining us today.
Amy, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to get to be here with you today. I've loved getting to watch as people have come on and shared about different emotions. I think that not only is your story so inspiring, but you sharing it and being so vulnerable is challenging all of us. And the way that you're using this podcast to help others and to highlight each of these emotions, it's very powerful. And so just thank you so much for inviting me to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jane. You just touched my heart. Like I'm trying not to cry over here.
Well, you are a light, and I am
Oh,
so happy that our paths have crossed.
oh my gosh, me too. I so am. Literally, I'm about to cry. Okay, get it together. Rein it in. Whew. I knew that I was supposed to do this. It was one of those things, it just came to me and I was like, okay, we're gonna do it. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And to know that it's touching people's lives like that, not just with you, but
Mhm.
other people have messaged me saying it's helping them too, is just such a powerful thing. It's like it's not me, really. It's something bigger than I am. I'm just the
Yeah.
vessel, sharing the message. And so I'm so, so thankful that you have found it helpful. And I can't wait to get into what you want to share today because I know it's going to be powerful. I can already feel it. So, we're talking about insecurity today. And as I said at the beginning, that's a big one for a lot of us.
Yeah.
This says that insecurity is the internal battle between a longing for acceptance, man, have I felt that, and
Yeah.
the fear of rejection. It's a complex emotion that seeks reassurance and craves validation. Now, when I think about this in my own life, the first thing that comes to mind is when I very first started teaching, like my very first year of teaching, just out of college, a little bit older than the students. I started in high school. Like I started teaching high school students right out of college, right
Wow.
out of university. So I was just really a little bit older than these kids. Some of them were seniors. And so basically 4 or 5 years older than them. And man, that was so tough. My first year was really, really tough. And I remember that insecurity of, oh my gosh, these kids are almost my age. Are they going to listen to me or how am I going to make them respect me and all of that? And I had
Mhm.
that fear of rejection, but I so wanted to be validated as a good teacher, but I was so fearful at the same time and I was very, very insecure. Um, and there's a lot that goes into that, but that's my experience. Like I remember that feeling so well
Yeah.
and it ended up going well. I ended up having a really good first year, but it was such a struggle. Oh my gosh, the insecurity that I felt was so, so deep, and, it really affected a lot of things in my life then, that thinking back now, how the insecurity really, really played a huge role, in my life then, but I did learn from it. I learned a
Mhm.
lot from it, and so I'm eager for you to share whatever it is you want to share about your experience with insecurity and what it has taught you. So please, please share, Jane.
Yes. When we talked about which emotion that I could share about, insecurity really popped out because this is something that I have struggled with since I was a little girl. And I am 38 years old. Women shouldn't tell their age. I just did.
Hey, there's nothing
but,
wrong with that. Nothing wrong
but
with
so
that.
just to say that it's been a long, hard road of dealing with insecurity. And things are just, I think, really starting to turn the corner a little bit. Um, to me, insecurity is being untethered to the truth of your worth.
Mm, I love
Um,
that.
yes.
So
So
good.
I think that the first time I really felt insecure, I was in fifth grade. And my class at school wanted to play Optimus basketball. I was kind of an outcast. I wasn't, in with the girls very well. I was sort of an oddball, and they needed one more player so that they could have their own cohesive team. And so they asked me. I knew nothing about basketball. I was really shy, but I wanted to fit in, and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." And so the provided uniform was just like this green, Optimist t shirt. And then you came up with the rest. So I remember that the girls all had these Umbro basketball shorts and fancy Nike shoes.
Yep.
And I grew up really poor. And what I had was some Looney Tunes hot pants from Goodwill and some multicolored Keds. They were pink and green, I remember.
Yeah.
And some, white socks with trimmed lace that I rolled down. It did not look like I was showing up for a basketball game. And I remember feeling really embarrassed and weird and like an oddball, right? Um, and one thing I've learned from Brene Brown's research is that fitting in and belonging are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
So in that scenario, I might not have fit in, based on what I thought about what I was wearing or whatever, but I certainly belonged to the team. They definitely needed me to be eligible to participate in the games to have enough players. I think sometimes we can be so focused about fitting in, what our social standing is, what's in our bank account, what kind of car we're driving, whatever it is, that we lose sight of none of that matters. We belong no matter what. Why is it that
Yes.
we belong, right?
Right.
Um, we do dumb stuff to fit in sometimes. So you might not know this, Amy, because you have a middle schooler that's a boy, but I have a middle schooler that's a girl. Okay. And so for the girls, a thing right now is that you take your lunch to school in a Lululemon bag. So
Oh.
this is like a store that sells athletic clothes. It's
Oh,
a dumbest
wow.
thing. Take your lunch in this bag just to show and represent that you have made a purchase there. Okay. The bag obviously is not insulated, so why are you taking your lunch in this? You don't eat till 1 o'clock. The food is not going to still be cold, but you
Right.
got to fit in, right? You got to take
Yeah.
your this. We'll do dumb stuff that, um, I'll show up late to something because I've changed clothes 15 times and because I'm insecure. But then it really doesn't matter because when I show up to this thing, are those people that are going to, give a rip about what I'm wearing? Are they even going to remember it, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Um, we don't realize that we belong already innately. Uh, so when I was growing up, I didn't have a good sense of belonging, of knowing how deeply loved and worthy of love that I was because I was being abused. In
Mm.
my home, there was every type of abuse, physical, I was sexually abused by my dad, actually, the majority of my childhood. And so the strange thing was that we would be in church, you know, Sunday services, Wednesday evening services. And so we had to really be in this odd paradigm of always pretending around other people. It was the expectation in my home that whenever we were in the church, we were pretending that everything was fine. We were pretending to be a certain way. And at home, my dad was a monster, right? And when I was a little girl, because the abuse started so early, and I had no way of escaping what was happening to me, my brain began to split into different personalities. If you're familiar with the diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder, it used to be called multiple personalities. And that is what I have. And it took years before I knew or understood that. Years of dealing with amnesia, or knowing that I was not one person. If you can imagine, just lots of weird, behaviors in one sense, and then other odd behaviors playing out in another, or and so also not only the shame of the abuse about what was happening to me, but also as an adult realizing that I have this. It was always like a dark little secret that I didn't want people to know, that I struggle with not remembering things because I have multiple personalities, and being ashamed about the diagnosis, when really that is what protected me. That's how I
Yes.
got through what I went through. Right.
Yes.
So insecurity. In my 20s, I remember being in college and being so insecure because I wasn't deeply rooted in knowing how loved I was. I thought I was garbage because of what had happened to me.
I
So I began
imagine.
to treat myself like garbage. I struggled with addiction and self-harm, right? And I think addiction too really, in essence, is self-harm, because it's sort of treating your body in a way that is in opposition to how much you are loved by your creator,
Yeah.
right? That your essence, the nature of God that is in you. And it's like I was on shifting sand. I wasn't anchored in knowing how valuable and worthy that I was. But things began to shift when I was 25 years old, and I became pregnant with my daughter. And so when I had Harper, nothing can prepare your mind. No one can tell you, and you really get it, how much love you will have for
Mm.
this precious baby.
Yes.
You can't put it into words.
Mm.
I was so obsessed with her, this magical, amazing creature. And every part of me pledged allegiance to her. I was so infatuated with her. I loved her so much. And Harper, there's nothing she can do to make me love her anymore. Nothing she can do to make me love her any less.
Right.
I totally approve of her. She is worth everything. I would die for her. It doesn't matter where she works in the future, it doesn't matter. I love her. And that love I have for her began to teach me that as a child of God, that's how my creator feels about me, right?
Yeah.
I have worth. I have value. He approves of me. And, growing up with a dad in the church who was this monster at home, that had jaded my perception of God,
I
right?
imagine. Yeah.
I wanted nothing to do with that. But when I had Harper, I wanted to give her the best love possible. So I need to receive the best love possible. So I did start investigating the scriptures again for myself and things. And certainly I know that many people listening in might not, share that faith or whatever, but I think we can all certainly still identify with that we are all united and, all loved the same. We are all equal. That just
Yes.
innate love that we all are made from, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
But I some scriptures that had stuck out to me were in Ephesians chapter 5, where it talks about that upon salvation we are set inside of Christ and sealed with the Holy Spirit until the day of redemption. And so knowing that my identity was safe and secure and that God sees me through the lens of Christ, it has nothing to do with my mistakes, nothing to do with my social standing, my circumstances, what I say, what I do, nothing. God sees me through the perfect sacrifice of his son, through the perfect love he has for his son. That's how he sees me, and nothing can change that, right? So that started to really kind of challenge my insecurity. But I'm a human. Those habits are hard to break. And still, I hadn't really, through my late 20s, early 30s, made enough gains in my mental health, still really struggling with insecurity. When Harper was in elementary school, she went to a wonderful, just awesome private school in town. And a lot of the parents there are, working professionals with fancy degrees and just highly intelligent, high functioning people. I would feel so insecure being in rooms with these people at events, or so scared to have conversations, choking on my words, feeling like, oh gosh, I don't want anyone to know where I come from. I felt like I was trash, all of these things, because I was stuck in comparison, right?
Yes.
And still stuck in that shame. I was afraid. But perfect love casts out fear, right? If I walk in those rooms knowing how deeply loved I am, that I'm worthy, then that really challenges that insecurity.
Absolutely.
So I have I've had the privilege, and I say privilege because a lot of people who are struggling and don't get the opportunity to seek out treatment. So it could be something I'm ashamed of, but I'm not. I have been to treatment for my disorder and for things when I need to kind of separate and be in a safe place to process a lot of the trauma that I've been through. And when I've been in these rooms with people from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, job histories, whatever, there's such a deep sacredness and respect for one another. It doesn't matter. It really teaches you that people are just people.
Yes.
No one's elevated or this or that. It's like some of that insecurity in me really began to just get broken down when you see that we're all struggling.
Mm-hmm.
We are all struggling. Everybody has been through something. We've all had, been damaged in some way or had pain or whatever. And so that really, and it gives me such a love for people. And when you go through things, it gives you compassion.
Absolutely.
And so I think that also really helps challenge the insecurity, is whenever you have that perspective shift, that you start to have compassion for others too, right? And the self-love for yourself and the compassion for others. It levels the playing ground, right? We're all the same.
Yeah.
So I think that it helps to stop worrying so much about, others' opinions, what they may or may not be. And the truth is, people are worried about their own lives, you know, um, to really begin to just be in an atmosphere of being grounded in the truth of who we are, that we are deeply, deeply loved and approved of, and worthy. Um, and so, to me, that is security.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many areas I want to spring off of this. I'm just like over here, like wanting to take notes so I can refer back to them to talk about, because I feel like we could talk about this forever. It
Yes.
just, I know, like in my life, exactly what you said. Like once you just accept yourself for who you are and not worry about what other people think about you. I mean, you said it. Like we all have a story. Like I believe everyone has a story worth sharing. We've all been through something that we're trying to hide from people that we don't want them to know about. But it's those stories that if we will be vulnerable enough and open up, just like you're doing today, to share that, how many people can we help? How many people can we reach if we will be willing to open up and share the hard things, the things that we're ashamed of or embarrassed of? But when I did that in my life, when I stepped into, and my light keeps flickering, it's trying to send me a message over here. But when I did that, when I accepted, like, this is who I am. I'm quirky, I have odd things, odd ways about me, but it's just who I am. And I'm accepting that, and I'm just gonna live. I'm not ashamed of that. It's just who I am. And I live from that in my heart. That man, life seems so much easier. Like I'm no longer worried about what people think, or am I going to hurt someone's feelings or something, because I know that my heart is pure. I know
Right.
that everything I'm doing out of a place of love, and that my motive is pure. And if it hits someone the wrong way, then maybe that's an issue they have, because I never intend for anything to come across in a wrong way. But
Mm-hmm.
if it hits someone in the wrong way, maybe it's an issue with them and not with me. And so, yeah, that insecurity, just stepping into who we really are and allowing ourselves just to be that person and stop trying to fit in where other people expect us to, is life changing. It's life changing. And I know that it has been for you too.
Right, absolutely. I think that you're right on in talking about, you know, that being secure in who you are. I think the recent moments where I felt the most secure have been the times where I've allowed people to truly see me and see the yucky stuff and see me when I've been a complete mess. But the truth of that, right? The truth sets us free. And then you'll be amazed when the vulnerability that allows the space that allows other people to be more vulnerable. And we all are craving meaningful relationships, right?
Yes.
But we can only have those when we truly learn and know ourselves, or else what are we bringing to the table to have that meaningful connection?
Right.
And so not being afraid to go inside and start to really truly understand what and why, and be honest with an honest self inventory, and honest with those around you. And yeah.
I love that so much, because it's so true. Because just the things that we try to hide and that we push down, that we try to keep from other people, are the things that can really bring us the most power. Like I feel like they are almost superpowers in a way, because like you talking today, you getting on here, being vulnerable, sharing about the dissociative identity disorder, someone watching either knows someone or is dealing with that, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, there's someone else out there. It's not just
Yeah.
me." And it's going to allow them to feel, more seen, like, "Okay, maybe this is something I can deal with." And so I really, really, that's my heart, is in helping share people's stories.
Mhm.
And I haven't announced this yet, but apparently I'm announcing it now, that after this series, I will be continuing this as a podcast for people to do that, for people to come on, be vulnerable, to share their stories, because that's what it's about. And my light is just going out over here. It's okay. Um, so anyway, lots going on. And I love that you are just so open about this and are doing it out of a place of love to help other people, because like I said, I know you're reaching people just through this today. So good. If you have watched these before, you know that I have an image that I use to an AI image generator I use to create the image of the day that represents the emotion. And so today we're talking about insecurity. So I'm going to bring up this image and let's talk about it for just a second. I love these because I learned so much from them. It's like you're looking at it from the lens of insecurity, and I can always pick something out that, oh my gosh, how does this AI generator know, to pull up this kind of image? So let me full screen this and we can talk about this for just a second. So here we go. Insecurity right here. Look at that.
Wow.
Right?
Hmm.
To me, there's so much there. Like,
Yeah.
look at the
I think,
darkness at the bottom.
yes, I think the first thing that pops out to me is that there's not a firm foundation. It's almost kind of like that murky, looks like, water or sinking sand that would be impossible to have kind of a sure footing on that surface. You're not grounded in the truth of who you are to stand firm in that.
So
And
good.
then kind of the chaos on all the sides with those, other colors and things that you could be influenced by other, voices telling you should be this, or you're not good enough, or some of those lies that kind of come in that distort kind of the image that you have of yourself.
Yeah, that's so good. And looking at the images on the sides, they're blurry, like they're not in focus. And I feel like that's what insecurity does to us, is that it blurs things. It makes us not see clearly because
Yeah.
we're not accepting ourselves for who we are. We're insecure about what other people feel and think about us. And so it blurs that line
Yeah.
of, just personal acceptance.
It robs our joy. It robs us being in the present moment and enjoying the things around us, enjoying our relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, there's so much there. That one has a lot to unpack for sure.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this has been so good, Jane. Like I said, we could just talk about this all day long. We could just chat about this for a long time. We have one of our people watching has said, wow, see, I told you, you're already impacting people. Brittany, thank you so much for commenting. Isn't it amazing? Like,
Yeah.
Jane's story is amazing. And I want to leave you with this, that Jane, you're working on a book,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I introduced Jane to my editor and they have hit it off. And so she's working on a book as well. Do you mind if I read your little blurb about your book?
I would appreciate that. Thank
Okay,
you.
absolutely. So the title is The Selves That Saved Me, which I love that so much. I love that. And this is the little blurb about Jane's book. In an introspective look at the life and personalities of Jane, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Speheger, it is a
Speheger.
challenge.
Okay, there you go. As she fought and clawed her way through a life full of childhood abuse, trauma, treatment, marriage, and motherhood. I'm going to cry. As she chronicles her earliest memories, she takes you on the journey to see why and how her brain split, resulting in separate identities. Through her adolescence and teenage years, more parts of herself are created and explored as increasing suffering becomes her norm. Through college as a theater major, a bout of homelessness, unexpected pregnancy, addiction, and diagnoses, her life unravels before these pieces can be made sense of. This collection of vignettes, past journal entries, and poems are not only written by Jane, but some of her personalities as well. Oh my gosh, I love that. Be witness to the hope resilience, and triumph of her story as she disassembles shame and embraces the beauty of a woman living with dissociative identity disorder. That's so beautiful, Jane. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to read this book. I can't wait for you to finish it and get it out there.
Thank
And
you.
you said probably in the spring?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be looking
Yeah.
for that in the spring. Um, Brittany is here with us. See, I told you, Jane. Brittany says you're incredible. Thanks you for sharing, and that she cannot wait to read your book already. Isn't that so cool?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. How do I get that off there? All right. Oh, so much goodness today. Like my heart is so full. I cannot thank you enough, Jane, for being on here, being willing to come share your story and be vulnerable with people and encourage us to see ourselves as we truly are and accept ourselves for who we are and use it in a way to help others. That's the purpose of this series. And so perfect, perfect. I'm so thankful for you. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Amy.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching. I'm so thankful for you that you're tuning into these and sharing them with people to get the message out and to help others. So feel free, please share these if you think it will be helpful for others. And again, if you want to see the others in the series, it's I can't talk. Hashtag 100 days, 100 emotions. That's the numerical number 100. And I have 5 days left. Isn't that crazy? Five
That's
days left.
amazing.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. And then we'll start something new probably next year. But anyway, thank you again for being here. And until next time, I will be back with another emotion. Bye, guys.